Hi, I'm Leo. I'm going to show you how to assemble the terrific triple towers. Your windmill, your lighthouse and your helter-skelter. So my plan today is to show you how to assemble the base, how to put the helter-skelter panels on, because I think of all of the bases that's probably the most complicated, and then I'm actually going to show you how to assemble each of the three different lids to go on the top. So bear with me, this might be a little bit long. I will chapter everything for you, so if you're making a specific one and you want to skip to that point, please do. So I have my die set here. I will be referring to this. I'll probably be referring to the instructions as well because they are all written out for me in here just in case I need to refresh my memory, but I can see my lovely die set here and I will show you as much as possible what I'm using for each part. So I'm going to start as the instructions say with the sort of stage, the base for your towers. There's only one slight difference in this if you're making it for the helter-skelter versus the other two, and I'll go over that when we reach that point. So I have two of the stage panels and then one of the bases. I just grab this in. So here is your stage panel up here, and then it's the larger of these hexagons that you need, but only if you're making the helter-skelter. If you're making the lighthouse or the windmill, you don't need to worry about that one. So I've folded all of my score lines already, as you can see here, and I'm going to start by gluing these two together. So a bit of glue all the way around the edge. Definitely want to make sure that your glue goes up to the edge, but not too much because you don't want to squeeze out the side. And then pop this in. So you're doubling this up so you've got your panels on all the sides. If you don't have a panel on every side, then you need to rotate it slightly until you do. Just press that into place. And now we're basically going to roll these up to make that kind of lip that goes on the bottom of your buildings. So I'm going to start with my first one, and we're going to basically tuck this all the way over like this. So this is a glue tab. You've got your notched edges on here. Just going to quickly have a look. When this is together, your triangle, if I can remember how I want this to go. So your triangle is going to go in, and then, yes, like so. So your triangle is going to go in, and then you're going to want to put glue on this square tab so that when you roll the next one over it, that is going to glue together. Yeah. Like I said, you can refer to your instructions if you need to, but glue on the glue tab. And you might recognise this kind of mechanism from making frames. If you've ever made any frames using dies, this is a very common way of getting that nice sort of beveled edge that you get. So once you, when you're gluing this down, make sure you push this right up against this side. Your glue tab is the same depth as this top piece, and that will mean that you get a nice square edge. It's not, you know, folded in slightly or folded under. It should sit just perfectly on there. So I'm going to put glue onto here, and then onto that little square tab there. So again, roll this back under. Make sure you've got that nice join on the edge. And hold that in place. Again, making sure that you've got your glue tab pressed up against this edge. Once you're happy that has glued, you can move on to the next one. Bit of glue on there. Roll it around. So this is going to give you nice sharp corners all the way around the edge. Slide that in, and you can see you get that lovely finish as well, nice crisp edge on here because everything is joined on the inside. keep going around. Obviously do take your time with this part, probably a little bit more time than I am, as always when we are crafting for you down here. Okay, pressing that one in. Oh, glue tab has just hidden itself inside there. Poke it all to the rescue. There it is. Next one. And again, you're just kind of rolling it up on itself. And this is going to give you then that nice little base for your tower to actually sit neatly into. Now, the last one is a little bit trickier because you need to tuck two sides in together. So, glue on your big glue tab and onto both of the little ones. You might find it easier to actually lay it down now so that you can use two hands for this if needs be. Okay, so on this side here, you need to tuck this square edge just under like so, and then push everything into place. There we go. Hold it just for a moment, be kind to your glue, give it a few moments to set, and there is your little stage, and then my other die for my helter-skelter only is going to sit over the top and form the base. If you were just making one of the other towers, you actually then sit the tower into this little recess here. So I'm just going to put some glue over here, and you can choose which side of this you want. If you want to flip this over and use the extra base that you're putting on as the bottom, you can, or if you want to have the kind of two-tone showing on top, you can do it that way around, whichever you prefer. Okay, couple of seconds just for that glue to grab. Good old deluxe adhesive. There we go. So there is the base for my helter-skelter. I'm going to pop that to one side to dry and move on to the next layer up. So this is now making the bottom kind of level of your gift box. Lid on my glue just so it doesn't dry out. So just to show you what we have here, we have our base pieces which are here down on the bottom, and so you've got your glue tab on the bottom, and then you have this kind of collar piece on the top. So it is slightly different. The next layer up just has the two collars, so one at the bottom and one at the top instead. And then I also have a small hexagon, hexagon for it to sit onto, which is the smaller one that is in the stage over here, which you can tell because obviously that fits inside that little stage that it sits in. So I have got obviously helter-skelter. We're going for alternating colours. If you want to do them all the same, then you can. I'm going to go for white nozzle glue. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can put them all together in a line and then form them up and stick them onto your hexagon. You can go around your hexagon if you want to, but obviously you need to bear in mind that you're going to need a little bit looser of a glue fit if you're doing it that way, because you need to allow for your paper thickness. I'm just going to do a line and stick it on, basically, keeping it nice and easy today. And what I am going to do is do all of the long glue tabs first and then pull the collars straight once I've got everything lined up. So as always, glue all the way along your glue tab right to the ends, and you want to make sure that your cut edge is right up against your score line to give you that nice crisp finish. On to the next. And just moving that around until you're happy that you've got that nice edge. It's hanging over a bit too much there. There we go, it's better. Does anyone else do that? Like feel the edge of their glue glue tabs just to make sure you have that in the right place. I'm sure it's not just me. Next one. Of course we had to go the bright fairground colour scheme for this one. Bright red, bright blue and yellow. Classic. I've enjoyed seeing all of the design team projects that they've made. This is the first time I've seen them today and I'm absolutely loving the Halloween helter-skelter. Nice haunted fun fair. Could you imagine? You could have a whole series at this point. We've got obviously our carousel, our Ferris wheel. We could have a whole we need a haunted house, that's what we need. Classic. I'll go and add that to Mark's list for him. Okay, last one going in.
We need a roller coaster.
We do need a roller coaster. That would be amazing. Magnets. I'm sure
I was about to say, we need some magnets.
Something and magnets will make that work, I'm sure. Maybe, you know, like we did with the music box, we had a little ballerina on a stick. Maybe you could have little carriage that you rolled along your roller coaster. That could work. Could work. Probably Toby would need to talk to you for that one. So I can now bring this in and glue that together. So this is a nice quick box to put together at this stage. You know, it is 6 sides, but they glue together nice and easy. There's no difficult curves or bends that you need to worry about. It is all just nice straight sides. Once you're happy then that you have your shape, this is when I'm going to pull my collar in. So these parts are actually designed to, obviously you've got an angle going on here, as you can see, you're kind of sloping upwards, but for this part you want it to be straight because your next layer is going to sit over the top of it. So you don't want to pull it in at the same angle, you kind of want it to be at a proper 90-degree angle. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense in my head and I'm not sure that those words made sense out loud, but you don't want it to be quite in the same line as the rest of the box.
Kind of like a jar.
Yes, so it kind of comes back out again slightly. It's not going in at the same angle. Because otherwise the middle section will just slide further down than you probably want it to. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Ken.
You're welcome.
I'm glad you understood what I meant. So again, I'm just going around all of my glue tabs, bit of glue, make sure they're properly lined up. And on to the next. Always be kind to your glue, give it time to dry. Yeah, all those things that we say and don't actually do.
I was going to say, I think you say that in all your videos and proceed not to do that.
Yeah. No one wants to sit and watch glue dry, and I can completely understand. It's not the most entertaining. Okay, I think one more, yeah. So, there's the last of those. All I'm going to do then is just pop these down, put some glue all the way around, and this is where I am going to have to be kind to my glue because it's not going to want to stay exactly in the right place. Take your base, and I would probably recommend lining up one side first and then lining the rest of it up with that. So now we do have to sit and watch glue dry. I'm very sorry. I tried to minimise this as much as possible. Once you're comfortable that it has grabbed, you can turn it over, take your pokey tool or something, and then just go along the inside of those glue tabs, just pressing them down, making sure that it has stuck nicely. Ta-da! And there is the base part of my tower done. Moving on then to the next layer. So continuing our fairground colours, we now have more blue and red. So this is the next piece up. So you've got the collar, top and bottom this time. And we're going to do exactly the same thing, just glue them all in a row. So more glue on the middle tab. Pop them together. Give it, a few seconds or a bit longer before you move on. Try and make sure as well, as you're putting these together, that your score lines do meet for your collars, top and bottom. Otherwise you'll end up with it being all a bit wonky. It'll be a bit more of a helter-skelter than perhaps you planned for it to be. Next one on. And the base goes together in exactly the same way regardless of which of the towers you are making. The only difference for the base is then how you decorate the outside. So if you want a windmill, you might put your brick patterns up the side. You could have a brick lighthouse if you wanted a brick lighthouse. You could even have a brick helter-skelter if you so wish. Might not slide quite so well on a brick one though. Might be a bit rough.
Might hurt a little.
Just a little bit. Okay, last one. I can feel that one before it wants to ping off already, so possibly could have held that for just a few more seconds. It's fine.
Did it fully ping off though?
No, we're good. See?
I mean, if we can do this whole video and nothing pings off, that might be a first.
It might actually, yeah. Normally something has come apart again by this point, hasn't it? So, same again, pulling all in the collar tabs in line. So this is going to sit obviously over this part, and then your lid is going to sit over the top. And it's at this point, or somewhere along these lines, you can start thinking about how you want this gift box to work. Do you want to glue the lid to the top? Do you want to glue the middle to the base? How is it that you want to present this? Or do you want it to be all open so you can take all of it apart? Maybe it's a mix and match gift. Maybe you're making all three and you're giving it, that could be a kind of a cool toy actually. You could make all three, leave them all open, and you can mix and match then. Different bases with different middles and different lids.
A helter-skelter windmill.
Yeah.
Lighthouse.
Yeah. That's how the lighthouse people get down to grind the flour, don't you know? They use the helter-skelter obviously. And you put the light on the top so everyone knows where to deliver the grain. No? Maybe.
A unique business idea.
It is. Probably past that point now, unfortunately, with the Industrial Revolution. As
Yeah.
it was. Yes.
A bit more of a tourist attraction than would be functional.
Maybe that's what we'll see at the fun fair next. It'll be move on from your traditional helter-skelter.
The helter-skelter was not fun enough. They had to add to it.
Yeah, you have to now make sure the light at the top of the lighthouse is working and
By
produce a bag of flour at the
yeah.
same time. Okay, doing the same with the bottom collar. Just going around and gluing one of those. And then our base is pretty much done. Then we get to have fun with the helter-skelter slide. Last two of these. Bit of glue on you, bit of glue on you. Are you a fan of a helter-skelter, Cam?
I don't like slides.
You don't like slides?
Nope.
Okay. That's a very definite statement.
Ever since I was a kid, I don't know, they just scare me. Generally scare me. Not a fan.
Okay. Now we know.
I have no reason. I think it's just an irrational fear.
Just an irrational fear
yeah.
of slides in general. Did you hurt yourself on them? Or?
No, I don't know. I'm just scared of like falling out. Especially those tunnel ones. They're terrifying.
Yeah. Have you seen like some of the water slides where you go like up the side of them and there's
Yeah.
nothing on the top
Oh
of them?
my god, yes, those are my worst fear.
Quite right. No, I'm not sure about those, I've got to say. So, tower done. Again, if this was a windmill or a lighthouse, you would then sit it into the base. We're actually going to glue it later onto the base, like so for the helter-skelter, because obviously you don't want the bottom of the slide to go into the base. That's not going to work so well for you. So I'm going to take this apart and bring in the pieces that we need for the slide. Now, Jodie has been quite ingenious with this. It took a lot of kind of backwards and forwards to get the angles right for the helter-skelter slide. So we've got a couple of different pieces. You've got these two long strips here, which are these, and these are the bits you're going to glue onto the actual tower itself, the guide rail, if you like, on the inside. And then you have these 6 pieces here that form the individual parts of your slide, and they are actually labelled, so I don't know if you can quite see them on camera, but they do have a letter debossed onto each of them that will impression onto your card as well for you when you cut all of these. So if you forget which is which, it's not a problem, you'll have that nice little deboss on there. So basically A, B and C are for the base, D, E and F are for the middle layer, but it is all in your instructions of course as well. And I'm actually going to leave this here to refer back to. So we have 2 pieces that form the kind of base for your slide. If I pull them both here, they are slightly different in shape. So the bottom slide, I have the wrong way around. The bottom slide is this one. So they have the same angle at the bottom edge, but the one for your top piece has a flat top because it's going to tuck away under the collar, and then the sort of piece for your bottom layer has this weird little angle at the top here, so it's going to hide and go up into the next one. So what we're going to do is piece by piece, no, still with a big glue, we're going to glue this around the outside of our helter-skelter. So I'm going to anchor the bottom piece first because you've got an angle to work with here. So with that angle, you're going to pull it right to the edge of one of your panels and across the bottom. And it should be then that your score line ends up where your next panel sits. So once you're happy that is in the right place, you can anchor that down, and then I'm going to glue the whole of the rest of the strip and then just wind it around my helter-skelter very carefully, making sure that it ends in the right place. So you should find that all of your score lines will meet the next panel as you go around, like so. And then this one should end meeting, oh, didn't put glue all the way to the end, meeting that top layer. Just like so. So there is the first part of the helter-skelter one. Do exactly the same then for the next piece. So I'm going to start by gluing that section. And you can choose, like I quite like doing this so that you have a offset colour. If you want the stripes to go all the way up, then make that decision. Let's do it this way this time. So I'm going to line that up on here. And again, you should find that it meets the score line of your panel. Just wiggle it into place. And once you're happy that it's in the right place, glue the rest of the strip. And again, we're just going to carefully wrap this around. All the way up to the top, like so. So then are the two parts of our helter-skelter base, like that. Next up then are the actual slides. So again, as we said, these are debossed on here for you. Karen, love her, has actually gone and written these down for me. So she's kind of gone back over in pencil the little deboss, just so you can see which is which on here. So I've got A here, I'm going to start with. Switch to some fine tip glue for this. So this forms the bottom of the slide, so you actually have like the little end piece, the bit that stops you from just whooshing off into the grass at the end. Pull this together so you've got a little glue tab here. And a large lorry outside apparently. And I'm sure there's something tickling my neck. Hopefully it's not an arachnid. We shall pray for that. I'm just looking at the cobweb on that camera at the moment. I can see now the light is on. Okay, so I've glued that tab to that to pull that piece up, and I've got a little tab on this side that I'm going to put under the slide. So you do have an angled score line on this to help you get this underneath. And this just helps you to bring your slide piece together, like so. And I'm going to glue this then onto here. So this is basically a guideline at this point for you to put all of your slide pieces onto. So I'm going to glue along this edge. And then press this into place. Like so. So that was piece A, and I'm going to keep going. I now have piece B. Let's glue this one on as well. It's going to go on the next piece around. And then lastly, I want piece C. Just going to go onto here. So you have three slide pieces for the base layer of your helter-skelter, and then three for the top layer. So kind of the front will have your helter-skelter decorations. Like I said earlier, poor Jodie spent a very long time trying to make sure that all of these angles were right, that it all sat how it was meant to. I think trying to go all the way around would have taxed her brain just a little bit too much. And as you can see, there's absolutely no room left on the die set as well. We couldn't possibly fit any more pieces on there if we tried. So just joining these together with these glue tabs. Pulling them into place. So there is the base of my helter-skelter. So now that we have the first three panels on, it's time to do the one for the next section. So this is going to sit. So it'll probably help you at this point to put the lid on so you can kind of see where we are going. So the same three sides that have the slide on the front are going to have it again. So this piece, and this piece basically. So I'm going to sit this here in front of me so I don't forget. So I now have D, E and F. I'm going to be a rebel and put E down first in the middle. So a bit of glue along there. So you're just basically following the line of that backing panel that you've wrapped around the base. Sorry, I was coaching that then, wasn't I? I'm very sorry.
There's telling you.
D goes below it and F goes above it.
You mean, going back to my irrational fear of slides, I definitely wouldn't want to slide down this one.
No? Yeah, you have to kind of jump from one bit to the next. Probably not the best one to have a go at for sure. Okay, last piece. Once you're happy they're all down, then go in and do your glue tabs. I found this the easiest way to put this together to make sure that all of the angles are correct and everything meets in the right place where it's meant to. I did try gluing the whole sort of ladder bit as a strip and gluing onto the base then, but it was kind of unwieldy, so I would recommend doing this afterwards. If you find a better way though, let us know. Okay, last bit. So there is our slide on our helter-skelter. As Cam says, you know, you do have to do quite the jump from this bit all the way around to here. So if you don't like slides, probably not one I'd recommend. But that is the base, and then with your helter-skelter slide over the front. So we're going to start first of all with the helter-skelter lid. It just makes sense since that is the one that we're currently doing. So if I pop my base to one side, I'll bring in the pieces for this one. So this is where they all start to get a little bit different, and you're going to have different tops, if you like, to go with each of your different towers. So for our helter-skelter, we want the rounded topped section here. You can choose to cut whichever window in that you prefer. Obviously, do that afterwards, so cut your bits first, then go back in and cut in your windows. Never cut your two dies together. You then have your top piece as well, which is just here, and you do have a couple of little decorative panels in here, so you can decorate this. We're doing a plain construction today, but feel free to go ahead and do that. And then you also have your flag, so you have two flag pieces. You are going to want to cut both so that you have the good side out on either side, and you're going to want to stick that in first, because you're not going to be able to do it if you overlap all the layers, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. So I have my two flag pieces here, a left side and a right side. I'm going to glue them together. I'm only going to put glue down to, hopefully you can see on here, there is a score line halfway across that circle at the bottom. Don't glue beyond that score line. You want to keep the glue above it. Glue your two flag pieces together. And then taking one of these lid pieces, you've got, the die actually puts a little slit in here for you. You're going to poke the two ends of the flag through, just up to the score line, and then fold it back on that score line. Bit of glue on either side, just to hold it in place. And then press that in, and that's going to give you that all-important flag on the top of your helter-skelter, so that everyone knows where the death slide is and can avoid it. So the reason that you do that first, obviously when we start rotating these, the slit is going to be at a different orientation, so you're not going to be able to get the flag through once you glue all of these pieces together. So very important that you do that part before you glue the rest of the lid together. I'm speaking from experience. When we tested these and then made them for packaging, I may have forgotten to do that once or twice. So we're then gonna glue these together the same way that we do with a lot of our projects where we rotate pieces. So that you have then the edge piece on all 6 sides. Try and make sure you've definitely got that lined up. You want to make sure that you can actually fold these pieces down, that you haven't gone over any of those score lines accidentally. And then glue onto all of your glue tabs to pull this together. I'm going to be risky now and put glue on all of my tabs at once. Be a rebel. Or be like Jodie Johnson, depending on.
Wouldn't it be hard putting tape on little tabs like that though?
It would. It would. I wouldn't recommend tape for this one. You could do a combo if you wanted to, but like I say, it is going to be hard to put tiny little pieces of tape on it. You'd have to use the thin tape and cut around the edges of the tabs. But if you want that kind of instant bond of tape but with the longevity of glue, you can do a small piece of tape and then put glue either side. It's kind of a double duty solution. And we have been known to do that on occasion. Some projects do warrant, if you've got angles where you need that kind of instant grab that you get with tape. We don't do it often though, because as you all know, Mammy Ali says no tape. We all know this to be true. I'll let you into a secret though. In the packaging that we've been doing this week, Mammy Ali has used tape. I know. And then she said I could also use tape, because I did another version of what she's made.
She allowed you.
She did allow me to use tape, yeah. So you can see a little lid with a little flag. This goes together exactly the same as all of the other panel pieces we've done. Join them all together in a line. I love that we've got 2 sides on a single die, so 3 cuts rather than 6. Love it when we can do that. And then join them together.
Could you make this wider?
You could, if you had a set of... You probably could actually. I don't know, because it angles inwards. It may mess with the angle.
Right.
Potentially though, because if you had a set of, I don't know, octagonal layering dies, you could potentially cut an octagon as a base. But because the tape is in, I think that's going to be at a specific angle.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was thinking of, is that it would be, you couldn't use the same base.
No. You would have to find another die to use as the base. I'm thinking that probably the angle would end up being wrong on the taper, potentially, but I don't know enough to know for sure. So I've put glue on all of my rounded glue tabs on here, and I'm going to basically put this inside my little cap. Make sure that all of my sides meet, so you should have in each corner, you should meet basically with the little overhanging part, and then you just want to pinch the glue tab into place. So the glue tab is pressing up on this edge piece basically to anchor the side of your lid to this little top piece. So just go around and press all of those into place. Once you're happy those are bonded and in the right place, I'm going to slip ever so slightly. We're then going to pop our little lid onto our helter-skelter. Hopefully, if I've done this at the right angle. There we go. So there is the lid on our helter-skelter. So helter-skelter, is a bit crooked. This is definitely a nightmarish helter-skelter at this point. Oop, forward a bit. There we go. So that is our helter-skelter with a helter-skelter. Now we are going to make it a bit of a hybrid to helter-skelter at this point, and as I show you the other lids. At this point, for the helter-skelter, I would then glue it onto the base. So this is why you don't put the helter-skelter down into the base, because this part of the slide needs to sit on that base, basically. Okay, so take this little lid off, put that to one side. We're going to keep our base, maybe we'll just turn it that way around. Let's do the lighthouse next then. So some slightly different pieces that we have for this one. We have our lighthouse walkway, little gantry piece, which is this one here. You've got these little tabs on the inside, which is what's actually going to glue this to your tower. And you then have the top pieces, which are these here. They kind of remind me of Kentish oast houses. That's what they look like to me. But I grew up in Kent, so that's what I immediately see as soon as I saw that shape. And then you also have the little railing that goes around the outside of your gantry, which is this piece here. And again, I have 3 of those. I've actually got 2 of these pieces as well. One of them, you'll notice I have snipped the glue tabs out of the center. And that's mostly for stability, but also for tidying things up, because I'm going to put this, as we all know, around the outside, and then I'm going to cover it with the second piece. So let us start with joining these into a nice long line. If you've ever made any tonic box ever, this is pretty much always the first point.
I got so used to you saying stuff like around the outside. I wait for the second around the outside.
Around the outside, around the outside.
Yes.
I know. It's working in our room is just a constant barrage of around the outside, or we finish off, like if someone says something that sounds vaguely like a song lyric, we'll continue the song lyric. We're fun to work with.
It's a bit biased.
Are you
Sounds like I'm
disagreeing?
going to disagree though.
I was going to say, be careful there, Cam.
I was just thinking, absolute mad idea.
Okay.
I think you could make a banana out of this.
A banana.
Yeah.
It would be a very
If you
straight
double-sided it.
Yes, you could potentially.
I don't know, because it was like slightly crooked at some point, and then I did it in my head, and I was like, you could make a banana.
You very possibly could make a banana.
I can't see why anyone would.
No, I can't say that making a card banana is top of my crafting priorities, but you never know.
See, so many things you could make out of this.
So many. Just making sure that I have. Yep. Okay. I've never made this lid. Just gonna put that out there. So
I mean, it goes to show how simple it is if you've never made it, and
hopefully
doing
it
it
goes
now.
together correctly.
Mhm.
Yes. I mean, I've not actually finished assembling it yet, so we'll hold off on the conclusion to that sentence. Pretty sure this is how it goes, though. Yeah. Because you want your railing on, first of all. So quite often when we've got shapes like this, I do find it easier to put the base into it, because it makes it form into the shape that it needs to be. So, there you go. You can see it was not a hexagon. It definitely did not want to be a hexagon, but now it has to be. So, press that all down firmly. And again, I'm going to pop that to one side to dry, while I then do exactly the same thing with my little oast houses. I'm sure there are going to be other people from Kent that are going to say absolutely. They look just like oast houses. So glue them again, all in a line. Kind to your glue, etc, etc. Yeah, we all know the drill by now, right?
Thing is though, it doesn't take that long for this to dry.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. But we still move on too quickly. Always. Always too quickly. I mean, obviously upstairs when we're gluing stuff together, we're also having half a conversation at the same time, so we can sit and allow the glue to dry. It's probably more than dry, in fact, by the time we move on. Okay. I mean, this one obviously wasn't quite dry, so I'm just going to hold that for a few more seconds.
Not to speak too soon. Nothing has popped yet.
Careful now. You might jinx me. Apparently I hadn't folded that scoreline though, so that could have been disastrous.
I know.
It would not have gone together.
I was waiting for the pop then.
It definitely would not have gone together properly at all. Okay, so now we're going to bring all of these up together. It's that lovely crisp point at the top. So I don't know, actually looking at this, if it would have been easier to start at this point and then go down to the straight edge, because I'm going to end up now not being able to hold this quite as much as I would have liked. I don't actually think that doing it the other way up would have made a difference, because you'd still have to hold it from inside. So I don't think it matters.
It's just a little awkward.
Long fingers will definitely help for this.
Or a bone folder.
Or a bone folder, yeah. Yeah, if you can't reach inside to get to the glue tabs. There's bound to be a tool that you have on your craft desk that will reach. Yeah, here we go. This is where we're going to start getting interesting, I think. I love that this comes to such a nice crisp point though. Again, making sure that you line up your cut edge with your score line. So what I would suggest you do on this one is glue this tab. Press that one in, like so, and then go in this way, pull that tab back and put glue on it. And then you can hold that one in place as well to finish it off. Okay, I'm going to bend my glue tabs. You want to bend these down away from your walkway and the railing. And then I'm going to glue this over my glue tabs for the railing to hide all of that. So doing the double sort of base on this gives it a little bit more stability, and again it does hide all of your glue tabs. Not that you can really see them because they are pretty much the same size. But if you want to neaten it up, you do have the option to do so. And you can probably see with this, we've actually made this from our Craft Perfect Classics, so our 216 GSM. Quite a lot of the samples I can see around here have been constructed from 216 as well, because you are adding the layers and because it is a fairly, I'm going to say square edge shape. It's not a round thing where we'd say 216 would be better for curves, but because it is a nice crisp edged, fairly small shape, you don't need the heavier weight cardstock for it to be sturdy. It's sturdy enough on its own. Plus you're going to be adding probably plenty of layers around the outside as well.
All that extra decoration.
Exactly. So next up I'm going to pop some glue onto my glue tabs. And I want to push this through just until the edge meets that score line. So just make sure all the way around that your base here is sat on that sort of collar score line. Press then your glue tabs down into place to hold it, and there is the lid for your lighthouse, which will then fit over the top of your helter-skelter base. can get it over there. Not always the easiest to see around 6 sides of something, to make sure you've got it in the right place. There we go. So, I mean, it's probably the weirdest looking helter-skelter that we've done so far, but there is my lighthouse lid on a helter-skelter base. If we look at it from that side, it's less weird. Still weird,
interesting colour scheme.
Less weird, yeah. So, lighthouse lid done. One more lid to go then, so this is going to be for your windmill. So again, I've got some slightly different pieces for this one. Oh, I can't pick up my sails, there we go. Continuing the kind of Kentish countryside theme at this point with our windmill to go along with our oast houses. So I've actually cut, I mean Karen. Karen cut the prep pack for me. I actually cut 8 of the sails and we have doubled them up. So your sails are down here on your die set. I've then got 3 of those same round topped lids. You then need your windmill lid, which is this one here. And the last piece that we have is actually where your sails affix to the front, which is this piece here, and you need 2 of those. And a brad for your sails to affix to your windmill. So I've got 2 sails still unglued. Bust out your precision nibs again. I'm just going to glue these together. It just helps them to be a little bit more stable. Obviously you could cut these in a heavyweight cardstock if you wanted to. If you did them in a 300, you probably wouldn't need to double them up then. Big lorry again. Lots of that today. And what I'm actually going to do is glue my sails together. So I would recommend, if you have a glass mat, this is where your lining up is going to come in handy. They are really big noisy out there today. Wowzers. I'm going to put some glue just around that circular part here. Take my next sail and lay it over the top. I'm hoping that this is lined up. I'm trying to see without putting my head over it too much. So yeah, you can use your lines on your glass mat to help you with this, because you definitely don't want one sail to be not quite at a right angle. So next one going down.
I have another idea.
Okay.
It's better than a banana idea.
Cool, go for it.
A rocket.
A rocket?
Yes.
You could definitely do a rocket for this.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely you could. I wonder who'll be the first person to post a rocket onto the Facebook group.
Or a banana.
Or a banana, yeah. I mean, I'm interested to see that one, Cam, so please do make that for us, and don't forget to tag us in your mates, yeah? Okay, there we go. So I have my sails all glued together. If you didn't glue them together, I would have a concern that when you put them on the brad, that all of them would just droop to the bottom. Yeah, exactly like that. Cam did this hand motion, which is exactly what would happen. So with my 2 pieces, again, I've folded all of my score lines, glue them together. I mean, this is, you know, classic Tonic Studios construction at this point. You glue the 2 pieces together so you have tabs around all the sides. If one of the sides doesn't have a tab, you need to rotate until it does. No, not filling that one in for me. I literally fed you the mic.
I'm not your soundboard.
You're not, no. Karen is my soundboard. So once you've got your 2 pieces stuck together on the front, and allowed the glue time to dry so it doesn't peel apart, then you start pulling all your glue tabs around the back.
I think we need to record all your go-to sounds, and so when you're by yourself, I can just press a button, and then Karen's voice will just appear.
I like that.
Going, and we're rotating.
Perfect, yeah. Around the outside, around the outside. Yes. The other one is, you know, general or major. General crafter. Yes.
Oh, no tape.
No tape. I still need to. I need to get Al to say that, and I'm gonna try and dub her over Edna. That'd be funny. I think she actually knows who she is now as well, because Al wasn't sure what we were referring to originally.
Oh.
When we talked about no tape. The reference was lost on her, I believe.
Has she ever watched the movie?
I guess not. Oh, something is really tickling me. I really hope there is not a creepy crawly just, you know, having a whale of a time crawling around on my back at the moment. But now that I think that there is, I just feel
Obsessed with
twitchy.
the idea.
Yes. Okay. This is probably one of the longest showcase makes that we've ever done.
Oh, yes, for sure.
When there are 3 different lids for something, you kind of have to show 3 different lids.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, oh, you're doing quite good for time, and then you got to the lid, and I was like, oh, no. There's more.
There's so much more. Okay. Last glue tab to go in. So this basically gives you that little bump out that sits at the front of your windmill that your sails are going to sit onto. So it pulls it away from the front of the tower, because if you had this just onto the lid, number one, it's probably going to be at an angle slightly, but also it'd be too close to the base because your tower is slightly angled. The sails would hit. So it wouldn't work.
It won't be as fun.
Wouldn't be as fun, no. So I've got 2 more pieces to pull together. I'm going to go as fast as I possibly can, because you've seen this 101 times at this point. So again, glue tabs all in a line. Having both bottles the same size, like upstairs I've got fat nozzle on a big bottle, fine nozzle on a little bottle, so I can tell the difference. Yeah, maybe we should do that down here too, because I keep reaching for the wrong glue. Okay, that's the base of your lid together. I don't know, I've run out of words at this point. The bottom of the lid, it's the lower half of the lid. And then we're going to do the crowning piece, which is another rotation bit. This time we don't have to poke a flag through the top though, so it does make it slightly easier. You don't have to remember to do that before you glue it all together. Again, just make sure that you are nicely lined up when you are stacking pieces like this. You want to make sure that where you have that score line for your lid piece to fold down the side, that it does still fold, that you haven't gone over the edge. It's very easy to do. Just making sure I've not missed anything important on this. No, looking good. Yep. Okay, perfect. Glue all the side tabs together. So when we make all of the samples for packaging, it tends to be now that we each make one. So where you see 3 of a project on the front of your die pack, normally Alison has made one, Karen has made one, I've made one, which is great when it's all the same. But when you're making 3 different things, I only made the helter-skelter. I didn't make the other 2. So
So which one did Alison make?
Alison made...
So have you, all of you only made just one?
Yeah, I think Alison made all of the windmill, and I think Karen helped her to cut and Alison assembled the lighthouse, which is also what tends to happen if one of us runs out of time because we are doing something else. And Karen looks after all of our samples for Crankcraft and so on. So if she was doing that, she may not have been able to make the entire thing. But she cut the pieces and then Al assembled them for the lighthouse. But then they threw me under the bus to do the make.
Well, Karen literally did a runner.
She did, literally. And I'm like, oh, but the helter-skelter base, neither of us have done that and you've done that. Sure. Yep. I see how it is. So there's your little, what are we on? Windmill. I was about to say lighthouse then. Not a lighthouse. No, we're on to windmill now. Windmill cap. So glue onto your roof base glue tabs. Sit your little cap over the top. And this will just meet at the score line, so you can kind of pull it into place tab by tab around the edge, not the outside. Okay, so lid. I've got 2 brads here. I did have 2 brads here and I wasn't sure which one I was going to need to be long enough to get through here. Might need to be that one. Let's see. So you don't want to pull your brad too tight on the inside because then your sails are not going to turn. Christ, it's really all going off today. There's an alarm going off outside now. I've had lorries.
Oh yeah, I hear it.
As long as it's not our fire alarm, we're all good. So, brad in, sails will spin. Now, motorbike. Honestly, today they are really taxing us.
So inconsiderate.
I know. So you've got 2 glue tabs on the inside of there. So I'm going to move my sails that way. I'm just going to position this onto the front of my windmill lid. Just make sure you've got it level. Okay, and then we now have a windmill helter-skelter. Roll up, slide, grind yourself a bag of flour. Oh, that is definitely crooked. Line everyone back up again. There we go. So there is our windmill lid with a rotating sail as well. So hopefully that has given you a good idea on how to build your terrific triple towers, whichever one it is that you choose to make, or maybe you're going to make all 3. I can't wait to see what you do with them. Thank you so much for watching.